Sorry, you just took a bite. Sorry.
Council, I would like to make a motion that council did not discuss anything in the closed
Got
meeting.
to go back into regular session first.
Okay. Council, I would like to make a motion to reconvene the regular meeting.
We have a motion. Do we have a second to reconvene regular meeting?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Now certification.
Okay. Council, I would like to make a motion that we did not discuss anything in the closed meeting other than the item for which it was convened.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So we had a closed session. We've come back into regular session. We do need to take about a 5-minute break. Apologize for everybody's time, but we are going to recess for 5 minutes and we'll reconvene at 7:16. That's all a lot.
That's a whole lot.
Correct. 2.2-3711A6, yes. You're correct.
Your fire and EMS department.
Oh, yes, they are. Well, isn't that a wonderful thing? I mean, it's just gorgeous.
I sent some photos, Jen. There was no courtesy, and it was not.
Oh, I know. And how beautiful is that? We have a great team, all of our first responders, police, fire, EMS, who we bend over backwards for anybody. Thank you for saying so. We might ask that you be. I didn't want to just bring your name up and be like, hey, they didn't talk to me. What's going on? Thank you. I know, we'll put you on. Allow me to bring you down with that, but.
Yeah, that's okay. I've read it up. And the doctor said,
Yeah, I don't think that's happening. You're very welcome.
That our bill should go out Friday.
Yeah. Nope. Thank you.
Just grab that and just make it a little quickie, just so we can have those discussion basis. Here's the game changer. That's where that makes a difference, which is why that. They need to be kind of stickied in. They don't need to be so easily movable. They don't need to be taken out, just cover them all. Actually, what I'd like to do is have 3D printed ones that have the new city logo on it, and then you
Yeah, that was a lot. My brain hurts.
Are we live streaming? Thank you. We will go ahead and call our regular meeting to order. For those of you just joining us, we called our regular meeting at 5:30. We had a special closed session to discuss some business for the city, and we are now ready to go into regular session. So it is good to see everyone this evening. Thank you for joining us in person and online. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. If I can ask everyone to please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. And at this time, we ask that you join us in a moment of silence to use for silent prayer, reflection, preparation for the meeting, or however you choose to use this time. Thank you very much. At this time, we will open the floor for citizen comments on public matters. Anything that you have to share with us regarding the community, the city of Radford, please come down to our podium, use the microphone, state your name for the record, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. The floor is now open. Seeing no one making a mad dash, we will go on and close the citizen comment portion of our meeting. Council members, you have the minutes from September 23rd, 2024. Are there any changes, or do we have a motion to approve as submitted?
So moved?
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Under public hearing, we have advertised a public hearing for a right-of-way vacation. Zhang Fang and Nicholas Ollinger have requested the vacation of a portion of public right-of-way between 9th Avenue and Prospect Street and Monroe Terrace. The request is for about 1,700 square feet to expand their property lines and area as adjacent property owners. There would be no impact on utilities or the existing open roadway, and the application fee has been paid. We scheduled this public hearing at our September 23rd meeting, and the hearing has been advertised as required. So we will open the floor for the public hearing at this time. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, please come down to the podium and use the microphone. State your name for the record. Seeing no one coming down to the podium, Jenny, did we have any submissions regarding the public hearing? Okay. We will go on ahead and close the public hearing at this point in time. And under old business, we do need to address that, council members. As no one has made any statements, I don't know how you all are feeling about this. I think this sounds like a good use of property that is right-of-way that is not essential to the city purposes. And we need to take a look at appointing a 2 to 3 member board of viewers if we so desire. And Bill Fleischer is here, so I'd like to nominate him as one of our potential board of viewers. Do we have any other nominees?
I know we've had a couple in the past that would be good. We've had Abram, Bart, and Jennifer. Would any of them?
Who would you like to nominate? Just
Have any of them, have we talked
we
to any
haven't
of them?
talked to any of
or-
them, so
Shout to any of them.
right.
You get nominated.
That's
You
right.
show up, you get nominated.
Sounds good. Well, how about we say Abram Williams and Jennifer Bondurant and Bart Castleberry, and some combination of the 4 of those folks would be able to work with us. Are we still good? I'd like to make a motion that we nominate those 4 individuals to be our potential board of viewers. Do we have a second?
Second?
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, council members, I actually would ask that we could amend our agenda, and I'll turn the floor over to Ms. Artrip to further it out a little bit. Under new business, we do have a report on the City University Joint Advisory Commission, and Kelly Artrip is our representative and has advised us that a meeting was required to be moved, so it's really not time for that. Kelly, do you have anything else you want to say regarding that report?
No, we're trying to update our charter and make it more, mirror a little bit more of what the commission is doing. So we've made some changes. We were going to review those at our prior meeting, I think last week, and had to reschedule. So I would just like for the commission to review it before council gets the final say. So, and I
So
think
we'll-
our meeting is rescheduled for the 28th or 29th of this month. So November, we will revisit if we have a final version.
We'll just table that then until November, or maybe December. Give you your time
Yes,
to.
I will let you know
yeah.
when we have a final
That sounds
version
good.
for council review.
Every year, council comes together to decide on what we would like to ask our state and federal representatives to support on our behalf. In the last year, certainly, we had several items. Were you able to get a slide for us, Jenny? Put that up there. That's okay. Our West Radford Commerce Park and overall economic development was our #1 priority. Mrs. Foster has been working on housing vouchers, trying to keep those pieces here. One of the suggestions that I've made over the years is if the state can look at allowing revenue that's generated to stay in the community where it's generated, there is no need for additional taxation, and with surpluses at the state level, this might be a time that they can do that. People have asked me what revenue we're referring to. That can be telecommunications tax, it can be liquor taxes, it can be other taxes that are generated in the local community. That money is sent to the state, and then the state either decides to use it for statewide budget or send it back to the locality. And at one time, all of those things were sent almost 100% back to the locality. If we could return to that, that's significant money that could return to the city of Radford. Property maintenance certainly was one of the pieces we had asked for some support with, because one of the big issues with our CDBG funds is that can only be for maintenance for property by the property owner, and we run into people with rental needs and other issues along that line. Parks and recreational activities. At the time, we were just looking more anticipatory of new things and upgrading and all of that. Since then, we've had a significant flood that has damaged our parks and recreational facilities, particularly in Bissett Park and at Sparky's Run Dog Park, and we need some help with those, so that may be one we want to consider. Certainly, we've been talking about our Main Street project for the last 6 years and trying to work through that. While we do still plan to move forward with that based on our Appalachian Regional Commission grant, having additional Main Street support, incentives, and development would be helpful. And then one of the pieces we've talked about is working with our representatives in contact with other organizations to bring a data center to the city of Radford. Another piece I know that we need significant support, federal and state level, is certainly with our first responders, with our animal shelter. We have all mentioned that to the governor, the lieutenant governor, to our representatives, that we need their support to help us figure out a solution, both short and long term, with our animal shelter, and then infrastructure regarding utilities and other city infrastructure would be a priority. Is there anything else that we're missing that we need to consider as a legislative priority for the city?
I was going to add, when we're looking at energy costs, I would even maybe add some energy efficiency grants that, just so we can educate our community members, for one, with increased costs, some things they can do in their homes, but also maybe some grant funding for our more vulnerable folks in our community. And honestly, then we get into that question on if people who are renting are still paying utilities, what do we do about that? Maybe there's a program of some sort of match, a grant of something. So I think I would also talk to him about some ideas on how to assist us with those increasing costs.
Yeah, and I think I would just elaborate on continuing to, I don't want to say push them to work with us on the West Radford Commerce Park. I mean, the $3.5 million investment from the state's amazing, and having that relationship with the state, that vested interest, but expanding on it, looking for even more opportunities. I just think that's a real target for all of us. So just to ask him and our other legislators just to get in as many people's ears as they can, and to let us know of anything that they think we should be looking at.
The housing vouchers, we did have a meeting with Delegate Ballard's office as well as Virginia Housing Authority. They have granted us additional vouchers.
That's good.
They are changing the way that they're doing the lottery system for the vouchers. They are not following the timeline that they had originally given to us, so we addressed that with them in this meeting. But they just have a few more steps to finalize it, but they have given us some really good workarounds so we can serve the community members here in Radford before we bring people in from other communities with housing needs. So as of now, I think we have this fairly resolved.
Would you feel comfortable removing that
I
from our
would.
priorities?
They've increased our vouchers, and they've given us a way to reach our own folks first. So yes, at this point, I'd go ahead and take it off.
Kelly, any additional thoughts from you?
No, the additional ones that were added were the ones that were on my mind, so I'm okay with this list so far.
As far as ranking things, because a lot of times they'll say, hey, this is a lot. What's your biggest priority? I still think West Radford Commerce Park has to be our biggest priority with economic development, because that's the engine that will drive everything else. I'd really like to see the animal shelter and parks and recreation moved up, because we need significant help there soon. Not knowing what we're ultimately going to get from FEMA or insurance or anything along that line. And while it's not, the end-all be-all of everything, those are two very important areas that I think could be helpful, and hopefully with some of the money that's around the state, that could be a support. Would you add energy infrastructure support on there, being able to work with some of our capital projects, particularly with electricity? So would you all like to see animal shelter and parks and rec moved up on that list? Yeah, I'd like to go on and kind of talk through it a little bit tonight as to the order of our priority. So is that amenable to the rest of council?
I think energy efficiency has to be towards the top.
And just because we put it on a list and put it in order, doesn't mean it's a magic wand, but, you know, I know that working through Delegate Ballard and working with Senator Hackworth, they certainly have taken our priorities forward, and us expressing them this way is helpful for them. All the energy efficiency and infrastructure probably needs to be right up there together, because those are some big things coming online in the next 2 years that we need to be thinking about. Thank you. I got you. Yep. Anything else? Are we happy with this list of what we're asking for and what our priorities are? David, are we missing anything from your perspective?
No, other than, we want to put something along the lines of continued first responder support. I think all the grants, the availability of funding, and then looking at what we've got to do with the fire department a little further down the road. I think we need to probably have that somewhere on the list so we don't,
Okay.
they
Don't
don't
forget
lose
about
track and we don't lose track
Right.
of it.
Yeah,
We've
this is
been
a good
very
list for us to
fortunate.
maintain.
Yeah.
You know.
Would the data center be up with West Radford Commerce Park as a part of that economic development? Because I think that's one of the areas that we had identified. I mean, I think that's a big part of that development
Could be.
structure.
Could be. It's not the only location where it has
No,
to go, but
but
it
it's
is a good
it is a
potential
good
location
yep.
for it. Okay. Anything else? So what we'll do is what we did last year, we'll follow up with a letter to Delegate Ballard, Senator Hackworth, and we'll send a similar letter to Senator Warner, Senator Kane, and Congressman Griffith. And then we will go from there, and certainly in all of our discussions with folks and with our interactions at various meetings and opportunities, we can stress that these are still things we'd like to do. I know that Delegate Ballard asked me to testify for the city on a previous time about some of our desire for some of our property maintenance issues regarding the dilapidated structures within the city, and he may ask us to testify once again with some of that, because that helps move the cause forward as we work together on these bills. So, okay. That is it for new business. David, we'll turn the floor over to you.
Okay, very good. Just a couple things as we are getting close to the end of the fall. Been very active past few weeks with a lot of special events going on. We concluded our concert series on Saturday night, and then we had the Highlanders Festival Saturday afternoon. Both those are done. We move on to Trick or Treat Trail at the end of the month, and then start looking towards Winterfest and the parade and that kind of thing. Jenny, give a quick update on the parade date.
December 10th, the theme is Making Spirits Bright. So that'll be December 10th at 7 p.m.
Your bells, December the 10th.
Very good. And then just a storm update. For the last 2 weeks, I cannot say enough about the departments in the preparation and the planning and the emergency management that's involved in storms. We were very fortunate that we did not lose homes, we did not lose life, we did not lose things that are not replaceable in all of this. So we did have, Radford's 9 miles of river frontage, and nearly every structure we had in the 9 miles between us and the university were impacted by almost a match of the record-setting 1940 flood of 35 feet. We were almost at 32 feet. So we are assessing teams working with VDEM now and FEMA on evaluation of properties that we have in the flood zone, what it takes to replace those properties. Great turnout by the community and volunteers in helping with the cleanup and getting it that next step was sanitation of everything. Working on the animal shelter, the cleaning has been completed on both the dog runs and the area of intake. That was done today. Electricians will be finishing up the work on those to get them in operation, and we'll be moving over to the main building, assessing that for both cleaning and getting that ready to go, whether it's just serves as an office or something as we're looking more long-term. Trying to figure out, make sure that is the highest and best use, and make sure we get that back in our operation for animal control, so they have that to rely on. We're always going to be faced with the flooding concern there, and it's been more often as time has had in the last couple of years. But everything is evaluated now. The big losses we had, the Sparky's Run, the birding area, the damages to animal control, the River Sports Complex, and the bathrooms at Riverview Park, and the playground at Shelter 2 are our biggest hits. Those are almost all total losses and have got to be submitted for replacement. Everything else is clean up, fix up, buy a few pieces here and there. Lost almost all of our fencing, so fencing at every location is gone. It's taken a little bit of time. While the sun's been out, the humidity's still been high, so all of that kind of muddy, loamy soil is down in the grass, so it's not drying as fast. I'm hoping the next few days of wind and drier weather should get everything dry, but we do have the New River Drive Road is back open. The park trails are back open. The Shelter 1 is back open. The majority of the playground at Shelter 1 is open. Gazebo's ready to go, and then we're getting Shelter 2 ready to go. Riverview Park playground should be ready a couple days, and both boat ramps are ready to use.
What was the extent of the damage on Shelter 3? Is it easily repairable? Or
Yeah, it
something
looks
we're
like
gonna
right now it's just some cosmetic
Okay.
stuff. There's some mud in the parking lots and things like that that are a issue there, but nothing substantial. Lost a couple of signs here and there. Most all of those are replaceable. The other big thing, we haven't talked about it, but we got it well signed and got it on our website. The entrance to Bissett Park is an entrance, and you have to go out the long way. It's no safe way to do that with the lighting system that was totally underwater. So that's fried, and we're waiting to see how long it takes to get replacement materials for those.
Thank you.
In regards to the animal shelter, are we accepting animals? And if we are, where are we putting them? If
I haven't got
someone,
an update, Jerry. We are accepting animals, correct? Yes.
Where are they going?
You can come on up.
Come on up,
Yeah,
Chief.
why don't you give them a little more
Make
update?
sure people know and understand that they're,
Absolutely. We're using Montgomery County and Pulaski County
Okay,
as
great.
last resources. We have a few crates and things like that we can keep them in-house too. And that's typically what happens when it gets to full capacity anyway. So
okay.
we're getting closer every single day to getting it back up to operational. But yeah, that's kind of the plan for right now.
Okay, thank you.
We had several other municipalities that helped us out with the adoptions too, so that was a good thing.
Well, and I want to commend you, Chief, and your entire staff, and Adele and everybody with the Herculean effort to get all the animals taken care of. No animal was at risk during this. Everybody was well taken care of, and we actually had some other agencies, particularly Powhatan, who came and got all the rabbits and dogs and took care of that. And we're just so appreciative of the extra work that you all did, so we wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, sir.
we had some extra adoptions out of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Thank you, guys.
some good news. Bright spot in a dark day. You have anything else?
That's it. Yeah, no, thank you. And
Well, and
thanks to
just-
everybody for their help.
Add on to that, and I know we're all probably going to say this, this was a remarkable situation and a remarkable response. I'm really pleased that, we came back as well as we did. Thank you to everybody who worked so hard to make sure it was safe to be down in Bissett Park and on New River Drive and throughout that whole area. There's some, we're fortunate. I'm going to start by saying we're very fortunate. There are communities that are going to be cut off for months, if not years, potentially, with struggles, the loss of life, the loss of property, the loss of access, the loss of power, the loss of water. It was a tremendous tragedy, and we were very, very fortunate, even though we have our own hardships with it. But thank you to everybody. There were people who worked round the clock trying to get us back in good shape, and I want to thank our citizens for pitching in where they could. I know a number of folks came down to help clean equipment where it was possible, to clean off fencing. We had the lacrosse team from Radford University. We had other folks. Melissa, you did an amazing job helping to organize and deploy some of that effort, along with all of our Parks and Rec staff, getting folks down there. It truly was a bright spot in a dark period when that was such a negative, and it happened so quickly. And when I get back around to my full comments, I've got some more to tell you about particularly Pepper's Ferry and the wastewater issues and the work that was done there. But just to thank you with everything that you said, David, and all the hard work everybody did. And things didn't change for the city. Things ran around the clock, and folks worked really hard. So thank you. Thank you to everybody.
And that will be ongoing for a while. Jenny's been working with FEMA and medium with all of our submittals. They're now the cost of those estimates and things that didn't cost as much 10 years ago or 3 times as much due to the pandemic and all that. So we're providing all that information. So that reporting will be going on for a while, and reconstruction will be going on for a little bit.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, David. Jesse, what do you have this evening?
Well, I think most of council, we've been, I hate to say consumed by the flood, but kind of consumed with the flood and the aftermath of that. But I do want to thank our governor and our representatives. They did come here and meet with all of us and did a real in-depth tour of the damage. And so I have no doubt they're going to be advocating on our behalf. So I want to thank them for doing that and giving us a voice and a place at the table. I know everyone will be touching on that as well, but thank you to everyone in the city for all their work and also our community members. I was getting messages left and right. I mean, it was still raining and people were texting me saying, what can I do? Where can I go? How do I help? And unfortunately, our first response had to be, we need to make sure it's safe to have you there. But I was just really touched by the fact that everyone was trying to pitch in very quickly to figure out how to get past this. So I'll let everyone else probably reiterate something similar, but just a big round of thank yous and hugs to everybody that helped us through it. In the meantime, I also attended the New River Community Justice Board meeting. I have a copy of the pretrial jail investigations from July 1st through August 31st for some light reading. I will make sure that everyone gets a copy of that. We had an amphitheater meeting. I will also give you guys a copy of the updates and where we're at. They have done a pretty extensive site study. We've actually looked at a couple options that would fit in that area. Next, I'm going to reach out to a couple places that provide mobile stages and have them come and look and advise us. So that's the next phase. So we're still moving along. It's still in conversation. Told you about the housing vouchers. Really, I'm going to keep it short because I know we have another meeting after this, but that's the gist of it. So thank you.
Thank you. Seth, what do you have?
Yeah, I'll hop on board and spread my thank yous to everyone too, between Melissa helping with the setting up the volunteers, Jenny getting messaging out, our police chief. I mean, I could go on and on, Parks and Rec. I too would like to thank our governor, lieutenant governor, and Jason Ballard and Travis Hackworth, and Morgan Griffith for coming and taking the time to assess the damage and lend an ear and hopefully lend some help as we'll need it in the days to come. And I also think it's important to really thank David for your leadership through this and keeping us informed and keeping the whole city moving. You go above and beyond, and I know there were days when you didn't sleep and you really you kept it from being worse. So we were lucky to have your leadership during this time and appreciate all you do. Today, Kelly and I were able to tour Alexander Arms, and we really appreciate them taking the time to host us, and Kim and David was able to join us, and it's a great business for this city, and we were happy to get in there and take a look, so appreciate them and appreciate all they do. The Highlander Festival was great. I think we all attended, and it was great weather, looked like a great crowd, so I was happy to see all that, and I know that we had a big time. Looking forward to the trick-or-treating trail. It's always well done, and I got a little one who's looking forward to being Wednesday, so if you see her, you'll know who she is. And then I'll finish up too with my prayers and heart are out to not only the people in Florida, but in Northern Carolina, where we've suffered loss, but incomprehensible what some of those people have. So praying for them. I'm also praying for the Dobbins family. Don Dobbins was just the voice of the Bobcats for forever, and you know, I feel like every other week it's getting more common. We're losing a pillar in the community. So hopefully that just means there's more rising through the ranks, but some really, really good people, and he was one of them. So thinking about them and their family, and that's all I got.
Thanks, Seth. Kelly, what do you have?
So, thank you to the farmer's market. I attended the very last one this past, and I always spent way too much money and found a million things to get for myself and others. So thank you guys for working hard. Thank you to all the vendors that came. Highlanders Festival I also attended, which was great. It was nice to see some of Radford's finest out there competing, and it seems like it was well attended. Also, the concert series wrapped up. Saturday was a very busy day in our little city with everybody finding things to do. So thank you to everyone that works hard to get the concert series underway. I'm excited to see what we come up with for next year. And again, I know as everybody's said it, but thank you to, you know, all of our Parks and Recs, electric, water, you know, David and his staff, Jenny, for getting all of the updates out, you know, every few seconds, every time they changed, and making sure they're legible, getting in touch with, you know, all the other crews that came out that were outside of our city help to come and work on the parks and anything that needed to be cleaned up. I think we all did an amazing job responding to something that was seemingly unexpected. We never thought that we would get to that level, but I think we, you know, Radford's resilient, like I've said before, and we definitely rose above the flood, and we will bounce back. It may take some time, but I think together we work really well in getting things back to where we need to be. Going to go see the tour today was amazing. It was very cool, and thank you to Melissa and her crew for hosting us today. Special thank you to Adele and her crew for getting all of those animals to a place that's safe, and contacting the other shelters to come and move all of our furry friends to a place that they can find better homes and until we get our stuff cleaned up. And to thank you to all of our delegates, governor, congressman, lieutenant governor, senator, for coming out. We really appreciate you guys coming out and seeing what the devastation that we had. It's minimal compared to some other areas, but we do need some help, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to come and look at things that we need help with as far as getting back to where we were. Like I said, my joint commission meeting was moved. Amphitheater meeting is later this week, so I'll give an update on those next time.
All right, thank you so much. David Ridpath and I serve on the Peppers Ferry Regional Wastewater Treatment Authority. All of the wastewater that leaves the city of Radford ultimately goes through that site. It's a regional effort with Radford and Pulaski and part of Montgomery County. As you might expect, that is an area that gets overwhelmed when we have flooding, because those sites by their nature are located right on the river. And we did have flooding at two of our pump stations. The actual treatment facility itself did not get flooded, which is very good news. There was some concern that we were going to be down at those sites for potentially weeks, but it turned out to just be a couple of days. That is because of the Herculean efforts, again, of that staff. They went into action just as quickly as our city staff did, plus our city staff worked with the Peppers Ferry staff to get that all taken care of. I'm sending a timeline. We had our board meeting last Thursday, and Ryan Hendricks, who's the executive director, went through some things. I'm going to send a timeline that he shared with me to all of our council and to David and our staff. It is remarkable what occurred. It's remarkable what happened, and it was remarkable what we learned. So again, this was historic flooding. It had been about 84 years since we saw floodwaters anywhere near this high. And as such, there were things that we didn't know. Those facilities that were there didn't exist 84 years ago. And so there were things we didn't know would happen. It's a really important thing that stays invisible until it's not. and they got it back online. And again, no permit violations, which are really important. They communicated with the Department of Environmental Quality. There was a lot of good things that took place with that, and I just want to give them a shout out. We are a part of them. They are a part of us, even though it is not exclusive to the city of Radford. What is exclusive to Radford is our water treatment facility, and those guys did an amazing job, as they always do. We were very fortunate that we didn't have issues, the same kind of issues with turbidity and some of the other problems that caused our neighbors to have boil water notices. We've had a couple in the past, but they've been very rare and short-lived, and that's typically when there's a water main break or something along that line. It did clarify a couple of things with what happened here, what happened with Pepper's Ferry, and also what happened with the Arsenal. We don't talk a lot about the Arsenal property, even though they are a neighbor and they are part of our ecosystem on the New River. Jessie had done some great work reaching out with the commander, and I had talked with her, and I reached out to the commander to talk about, could I come by and take a look at what's going on, and are there some things we can do? Their entire area down by the river where some of their treatment facilities are was flooded. Some of their storage was flooded. They have similar motors to what we have at our wastewater treatment. They have similar motors and similar pieces that they use. And it only made sense to me that maybe we could come together as a region and have a utility roundtable with not only our certainly Radford, Pulaski, Montgomery County, Blacksburg, Christiansburg, but invite the Arsenal to be a part of that as well. They're practically a city on that site with the amount of water that they utilize, the amount of water that they take in and clean and put back into the river. And there may be some efficiencies and some resiliencies that together we can work on that makes the whole region stronger. So that's something that I'm hoping we can run. I've talked a little bit with Kevin Bird about it with the Regional Commission. That's something I was hoping maybe he could help facilitate with some of our regional utility folks coming together. That's a huge thing for us potentially, because I think we could find where we had challenges with what we learned during this time. We did help each other an awful lot. I know there were pumps that were Radford's pumps, Pulaski's pumps that ended up working with Pepper's Ferry, and people shipped things back and forth and pieces of equipment. But maybe there's additional things that we can find that provide additional resiliency for that. And so that's something hopefully we can make happen. As I said, I did go over and tour the Arsenal facilities. We have so many people in the city of Radford that work for BAE Systems, Hercules, or former Hercules, and Northrop Grumman that are currently out of work, that ask me questions. We know that they're working very hard to get everybody back to work as quickly as possible. And I was checking to see if there was anything at all we could do as a community or as a region to support that. The commander, the entire staff, very, very gracious. We were able to make a few additional contacts based on that meeting. So I think there were some positives that did come out of it. But truly remarkable facilities right in our backyard, world class. I can share this. Some of the upgrades that they've done in the modernization at the Radford plant has made that even more valuable to the Commonwealth and to the United States of America. So Radford is still a shining gem after all of these years. This was a plant that was constructed in 9 months in 1941 in the ramp up to World War II and is still in major operation for all of the United States and the world. So it is a significant asset for everybody, and of course a lot of people work there, and that makes a big difference. But I think there were some positive relationships. There may be some possible things that can work for us with our West Radford Commerce Park, helping work with some of the suppliers at the Arsenal. So who knows what possibilities can come out of this. Speaking of water, I know we are in the process of doing a survey to take a look at drinking water, and some folks reached out to us about the mailer that went out, and the main point of concern was the return card, that people would share their information on this card, but it wasn't a return card that was concealed in any way, that it was a business reply return card, and then all their information was available. David, I know we kind of touched base with you on that, and we've been talking back and forth. There is an online option, but for some folks who are going to use the postcard, there was some concern about the security of their information. Any thoughts, anything with that?
Yeah, if they don't want to mail it back in, we would take those in my office. We put them discreetly.
So basically, if someone's feeling uncomfortable about sending it in, bring it down here to the city hall. We'll take care of it from there and go from there. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We do have some other business we have to attend to. So at this time, unless there's anything else for the good of the order, I'd like to make a motion that we enter into a closed session for discussion, consideration, interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of any public body, and evaluation of performance of departments under Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We will now go into closed session. Thank you all for joining us. We will have to ask you to leave for a few minutes, and then we'll come back into open session in just a little while.